Hi, everybody. Matt Bernier, joined by DRS National Handicapper Mike Watchmaker, taking a look at this weekend's Weekend Warrior for the weekend of August the 25th, the big day of racing up at the Spa. It's the marquee event, the Travers, but there are a number of graded stakes races up at Saratoga. We'll also go over a race from out at Del Mar. Let's kick things off with the big one, though, Mike, the Midsummer Derby. It is the Grade 1 Travers, 3-year-olds, a mile and a quarter on the main track. No Justify, so maybe this race is a little bit more wide open and you're allowed the opportunity to go elsewhere. Where are you ultimately going to go?
I'm going with Gronkowski here, Matt. Now, I'd be the first to admit I didn't like Gronkowski at all in the Belmont Stakes, and I was floored with how well he ran. But it doesn't matter any way you look at it. He ran terrific in the Belmont. I mean, he was coming off a layoff of longer than 2 months. He was going a mile and a half distance. It might have been actually a little bit too far for him. He had no pace to rally into. He's a clear last through the early stages of the race. Yeah, he got a rail run. Okay. But still, I mean, for him to finish a game second to Justify, when you consider all those other factors, I thought was enormous. He doesn't have to be this far off the pace. I mean, his running lines in Europe suggest that he has position or early speed, and I actually think the mile and a quarter distance of the Travers would be better for him than the mile and a half distance of the Belmont Stakes. And I've got some knocks against the favorites. I mean, Good Magic is a high-quality horse. I have immense respect for him as a champion. He was champion 2-year-old male last year, but look at his form. I mean, he hasn't earned a triple-digit buyer figure in 5 starts this year as a 3-year-old. He hasn't taken a step forward in that department, and it really makes me wonder how much he's developed, if he's even developed at all, and yet he still won the Haskell. And he still might win this race, but I just don't want 2-1 on him.
As far as the Sword Dancer is concerned, that's the race prior to the Travers, a mile and a half on the inner turf course. It feels like really you've got most of the main players coming out of the Bowling Green, and then you've added in a couple of different fresh faces. Do you want one of the horses coming out of the Bowling Green, or do you want someone else?
Well, I do want one of the horses coming out of the Bowling Green, but I think a main player in the race is Spring Quality, who upset the Manhattan and ran very well doing it. And the form of that race is held up because Robert Bruce came out of a 6th place finish in the Manhattan and won the Arlington Million. The thing with Spring Quality is that he was supposed to run in the Arlington Million, and he didn't ship well to Chicago, and so he was scratched. And now he reappears in this spot, going a quarter of a mile longer. The Arlington Million is a mile and a quarter race like the Manhattan. Now he's in this mile and a half Sword Dancer. All of those things make me unsettled. I want a horse out of the Bowling Green, but in general, I'm drawing a line to the Bowling Green form because it was run on an extremely deep turf course, and I think a lot of horses didn't handle, and the horses that ran well just handled it better than some of the others. I want High Happy. High Happy was the beaten favorite in the Bowling Green. He didn't handle that course, and he ran, I thought, dynamite in the Manhattan 2 starts back when he was contesting a pace that was, pretty solid for the distance, and a pace that otherwise, when you forget about High Happy, didn't hold up. All the other pace players caved. So I thought it was a giant performance on his part, and I'm giving him the opportunity to make amends off of his Bowling Green, which I could throw out, and I think he's going to be a better price this time around.
Out on the West Coast, 7/8 of a mile on the main track, the Grade 2 Pat O'Brien. You have many of the main players exiting the Bing Crosby. You have reigning champion Roy H. as far as sprinter is concerned. You've got the winner of the Bing Crosby in Ransom the Moon. You also have some fresh faces coming into a spot like this, including Battle of Midway, who we haven't seen since his victory in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile last year out at Del Mar. Do you want one of sort of the more proven commodities, or do you, again, want a fresh face?
Well, you didn't even mention Catalina Cruiser, who's, he's got this reputation of being, the latest freak. And I mean, he might be a freak. He's untested and unchallenged, winning his first 3 career starts, but he's going to have to show me more because he was gifted with a very easy early lead when he won the San Diego. He might be a very good horse, and he's going to take a lot of money in this race, but he's cutting back to a sprint distance. He's drawn inside. That's not where I want to be at Del Mar under any circumstance. Roy H., the reigning male sprint champion, I didn't like the way he ran in the Bing Crosby. I mean, he was soundly beaten by Ransom the Moon that day. Roy H. was making his first start since I thought a flat performance in the Dubai Golden Shaheen. Yeah, he was coming off a layoff, but he's a horse that's routinely run big off layoffs in the past. I like Ransom the Moon. I liked him in the Bing Crosby. Why can't he win just like this race, just like he won that race? I mean, he's clearly likes the racetrack. He's probably going to fall through the cracks again from a betting standpoint because people are going to be forgiving of Roy H. They're going to jump all over Catalina Cruiser. It's Ransom the Moon for me in the Pat O'Brien.
Is there any sort of concern with Battle of Midway coming off such a long layoff, and maybe this is nothing more than a prep to get to something else?
Well, it really does look like a prep for me, But the other thing is, undiscussed really, is that his victory in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile was bias-aided. I mean, he was out in the best part of the racetrack. I mean, the rail was dead both Breeders' Cup Friday and Saturday at Del Mar. He was out in the best part of the racetrack, and Sharp Azteca was near the inside for much of that race, and he was narrowly beaten second in that race. There's no question that Sharp Azteca was the best horse in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, to my thinking. And if you look at it that way, Battle of Midway doesn't look so great on paper otherwise.
DRF's national handicapper Mike Watchmaker with this weekend's Weekend Warrior. Great stuff as always. You can find the Weekend Warrior right up over on DRF.com as well. Great stuff, Mike. Talk again soon.
Thanks, Matt.